see if I'm here. Can everybody hear me? Sportcat is in the house. Hello, audio. I don't know what happened to my sound effects there. My audio going out to everyone? Ross made me change one setting and it went squirrely on me. So let's see. Everybody, we are live on Yerg's Radio. We are live on Mastiff Media, Right Talk Radio, Rainbow Radio, and of course, Radio X in Australia. So, all right. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me. I don't know why my sound effects didn't work. That perplexes me. So I'll have to check on that because, well, that's just annoying. I wanted my sound effects. Why do my sound effects not work? It's showing that it works. And it's showing that's working. So I don't know. Maybe I should just do a restart. Maybe that's what I should do. I don't know. What? I know. I'm just trying to figure out what happened over here. So, okay. Well, I'll figure this out later because I just don't have time for it at the moment. So we won't have any crazy sound effects today, which really sucks because I was gonna have some fun and play with it. But oh well, it is what it is. I can't even get back to my main screen. Here we go. It's not even playing. Okay, all right. We're not gonna play with it. We're just gonna do our thing. We're gonna run a YouTube show and a paranormal show. No, not a paranormal show. The internet radio show. And we're gonna stop worrying with all the sound effects. I can figure that out later. You guys can hear me. That's the main thing. All right. So everybody, I encourage you to come over to YouTube and find us at the Para Our Normal, 3 words, and then guys with a Z. We have a great chat. Wendell is here. Hello, Wendell. Welcome back. And Wendell, trust me, I have got more links coming out my ears. Let's see. You're talking about SpaceX, cheaper than the other guys. There's actually a new cell phone coming out that will probably be basically a box you put in your car. I read something about it. Hello, Denise. Welcome. Hey, KG. Glad you're here. Let's see here. Well, let's see, Wendell. I hope you don't go to sleep. Am I one of the several podcasts that put you to sleep, Wendell? That's not very nice. I mean, maybe it is if you think I have a nice soothing voice. Chris, I see you're here too. I think I overlooked you. Hello, Chris. Welcome. All right, so let's just jump right in. If you were listening to the Yerg's Radio Network before me, you had all this depressing news. So let's start off with some all right, what the hell was that? That was my chair. We'll start off with some happy news. Today is, well, it is May 20th. It's Be a Millionaire Day. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. It's Cameroon Republic Day. It's celebrated by the military in civilian parades and speeches in Cameroon. It's Clinical Trials Day. All right. East Timor, am I saying that right? Independence Day. Well, it's the day they got their independence. It's Eliza Doolittle Day. It's Flower Day. Hats for Headway. Hats raise fund for brain injury survivors. That is a very good thing. My wife had to shave her head completely when she had her aneurysm. So it's International Red Sneakers Day. Well, you can't wear a red hat because it's racist. So if you wear red sneakers, are you racist? Just asking for a friend. And you may hear some noise in the background today. It's National Band Directors Day and National Eli. So everybody send Eli Manning a hello, welcome day. It's National High Heel Day. So I guess you should wear high heels that are red too. It's National Jace Day. Do you know any Jaces? I don't think I've ever met a Jace. I know some Jasons. National Pick Strawberries Day. Well, they're in season. Quiche. It's National Quiche Lorraine Day. Well, I don't know that I've ever had a quiche. Maybe I have. It's National Rescue Dog Day. That is always a good thing. Go out to your if you need a pet or you need a companion, or in Wendell's case, you need somebody to dial 911 for you when you have your massive stroke. Get a rescue dog from the shelter and raise the rescue dog, and you will get all kinds of love, kindness, and rewards from the pet. It's National Rio Day. Well, it's associated with strength and bravery. National Stop Nausea Day. I can stop that even quicker. Did you know that, did you know that if you take alcohol and even an alcohol prep, or just that noise is going to annoy me, put it on toilet paper and smell it when you're nauseous, it'll end the nausea. So, or is that a headache? I don't know. It's one or the other. It's National Streaming Day. Welcome to my day. Chris says he tries to stop nausea daily. Well, then you listen to my show. And apparently, Dr. Mark A. Groh needs to do some clinical trials. Yes, yes. And Wendell says he wants to be richer than Elon. He's richer than some countries. So isn't that crazy? You're richer than a country. It's National Women in Aerospace Day. I've met many female aviators. They do great jobs. Weights and Measures Day. Okay, I'm staying away from this one. World Autoimmune Arthritis Day. A lot of people don't realize that arthritis is more than just pain in your joints. It can do a lot more. It's World Bee Day. Oh man, I wish I'd seen this earlier. I have a great video. Can I pull that up? Let's see. Hold on. I have a great video for this that was just great. Let's see if I can pull this up. Can I just download this? How do I download this? No. Stop. I just want to download you. Yes, download. See if I can play this. This was, if I can bring it up, this was outside my front door yesterday, and it was kind of spooky. So let's see. Let's move it over here where I can see it, and we'll see if I can play this. And I don't know if you'll hear it, but we will play it. This little fella does not like the security cam. I don't know if y'all can see or hear that, but he was not a happy camper. Oh yeah, he was all over the place. So it's World Bee Day. Bees are important to plant reproduction and human nutrition, and who doesn't love honey? It's World Meteorology Day. The Meteor Convention developed a global measurement standard to facilitate scientific study, industrial production, and global trade. All right, today's Cher's birthday. We were just talking about this yesterday or last night on the girls' show, and she's got to be 100 years old. I mean, how old is Cher? We literally was talking about that bee does need an attitude adjustment. Luckily, I think it's just one of those wood bees. Mom's house is brick and vinyl siding, so I don't think it'll affect anything. But gosh almighty, at my house, before we had the vinyl siding put on every summer, and you can't eliminate them because they're good for us, but yet they sometimes get to be pests. It's Doug the Pug. Who is Doug the Pug, and why am I missing out on this? Frank Maderno. Well, it's your birthday, whoever the hell Frank Maderno is. And Addie Maxwell. Well, apparently she's a young adventurer and curious gamer. I know nothing about her. Lonnie Adolphson's Day. He's a YouTube gaming content creator. Okay, well, happy birthday, Lonnie. I'm glad you're having a great birthday. So let's see what other kind of mischief we can get into here. And we will we'll go to this screen because, well, we didn't finish up yet. All right. No, not that button because I don't know what the hell it does. We talked about Quiche Day, Sugar Bee Apple Day. I was not aware there was a Sugar Bee Apple. So we talked about Rescue a Dog, Be a Millionaire. All right, so that was it. Let's jump to the next thing. We only missed the sugar bees. What was it? Sugar Bee Apple. I don't know that I've ever had a Sugar Bee Apple. My uncle had an orchard, and he had, I think, every kind of apple known to man. Maybe he did. I don't know. All right, so let's see. Today in history, the 20th of May, in 1498, whoa, that's way back, Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama arrives in Calcutta, Indiana, becoming the first European to reach India by sea. In 1609, William Shakespeare's sonnets are first published in London, perhaps illicitly by publisher Thomas Thorpe. In 1862, then U.S. President Abraham Lincoln signs into law the Homestead Act to provide cheap land for settlement of the American West, 80 million acres by 1900. 1910, funeral for Britain's King Edward VIII is held in West Abbey, and it's one of the largest assemblies of European royalty ever. That's the guy who lopped off somebody's head he couldn't reproduce, wasn't he? Yeah, well, okay. 1927 at 7:40 a.m., Charles Lindbergh takes off from New York to cross the Atlantic for Paris aboard the Spirit of St. Louis, the first solo nonstop transatlantic flight. And if you get a chance to go to Washington, D.C., go downtown and check out the Air and Space Museum at the Smithsonian, and you can see that plane. Well, I should say you should be able to see that plane. Used to, when I was a little children, it was there. In 1927, the Treaty of Jeddah, is that Jeddah, is signed between the UK and Ibn Saud, recognizing the independent kingdom of Hejaz and Ned, the forerunner of Saudi Arabia. In 1990, the Hubble this doesn't seem possible. Wow. 1990, the Hubble space telescope sends its first photographs from space. And we've replaced it now. So I was actually 18, Wendell. So in 1891, the first public display of Thomas Edison's prototype kinetoscope to members of the National Federation of Women's Club. Not sure what a kinetoscope is. 1983, Every Breath You Take. I just don't like that song by The Police was Song of the Year. Maybe it's just me. I just don't like that song. It's boring to me. Doesn't have soul. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. 1900, the second modern Summer Olympics, the games of two Olympiads, or maybe it's no, it wouldn't be two. That would be two Olympiads, or it's I don't know, in Paris, and it continued for 5 months. All right, so let's see what other kind of shenanigans happened on this day, and then we've got to go into this breaking news story. Chris says in 1983, that song should have been renamed Only Song I Hear. Wasn't that I'd have to go check it out on Song Facts, but didn't he write that for a French prostitute? I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't that one. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Police. They're not my jam. In 1498, Vasco da Gama arrived in India. We talked about that. In 1506, Christopher Columbus dies. Well, we're not supposed to care about that anymore, but he died at the age of 54 in Spain. Determined to find a route from Europe to Asia, he famously stumbled upon the Americas in 1492. Well, we're not allowed to discuss that anymore. His explorations would result in the Columbian Exchange, or the widespread exchange of goods, commodities, and people. That right there is why we're not supposed to discuss it. The Americas and the rest of the world, paving the way for the European colonization of the New World. However, claims that he discovered America has long been in dispute. Oh, we got a little star here. Not due to not only the indigenous people that had long lived there, but also the Vikings. That's right, my people. I think it was Eric was it Eric? I'd have to go back and look. But they had already explored present-day Canada centuries earlier. Yes, my people, the Vikings. All right, in 1743, Toussaint L'Ouverture is born. Not sure he is, but he was born in Haiti, and he was the leader of the Haitian independence movement. He commanded the only successful slave revolt in modern history and ended slavery in Hispaniola. While in power in Haiti, he strengthened the economy by creating trade agreements between Haiti and the British Empire, restoring the plantation system using paid labor. He died during the French invasion of the island in 1803. Following his arrest and interrogation, to this day, he is known as the Father of Haiti. And we talked about the Homestead Act was signed into law. 1873, well, Wendell, your favorite breeches, the Levi Strausses, were patented. Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis are given a patent for blue jeans. Strauss, a successful businessman who sold clothing fabric and dry goods, teamed up with Davis, a tailor, to make the pants. Davis had come up with the idea for pants secured with metal rivets, and Strauss agreed to fund it. Levi Strauss jeans were primarily created for sale to miners during the California gold rush. Today, a pair of Levi Strauss not a pair. Levi Strauss is worth an estimated $6.6 billion and the largest maker of denim jeans in the world. Okay. In 1902, Cuba gains its independence from the United States. We had Cuba? I don't remember that. Cuba gains independence. Well, it's because it wasn't around in 1902. Cuba gains its independence from the United States. In 1898, the USS Maine sunk in Havana's harbor, Sparking a Spanish-American War, the United States was victorious and received control over Cuba as part of the peace treaty. The United States occupied Cuba until the Allied nation created a new constitution, allowing for extensive American interference in Cuban government and politics. After the adaptation of the constitutions, the United States withdrew from Cuba and it became an independent nation. Yeah, how's freedom working out over there now? 1916, Ernest Shackleton reaches the Stromness whaling station. He was one of two shipmates to reach the Stromness whaling station on South Georgia Island, almost 7 months after they were forced to abandon their ship Endurance when it became trapped in ice. In 1959, Israeli, I'm going to butcher this one, Kamakawi Ali is born. All right, well, what is he known for? He was born in Honolulu. He was a talented singer, become famous for his stirring rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Kermit's version was better. He struggled with his weight all of his life and died tragically of respiratory failure at the age of 38 in 1997. His recordings have been featured in commercials throughout the world, as well as several Hollywood movies. He remains one of the most influential Hawaiian artists in history. I will be honest with you, I'm going to go after the show and I'm going to Google that and hear some of his stuff. So, all right. Well, that is today. I think I've covered all of today. All right. So as promised, I wanted everybody to know it's not the end of the world. The Axial Seamount, the Pacific's Northwest underwater giant, is preparing to erupt. I want everybody to remain calm. I know all those other shows are saying there's going to be 10,000 earthquakes. There's going to be a plume of smoke in the Atlantic seawater, or the Pacific seawater to reach the moon. No, none of that's true. So you just clicked there to watch their show. And I didn't even put it up as clickbait. I should have, but I didn't. So the Axial Seamount, the Pacific Northwest underwater giant, is preparing to erupt. It is giving us a window into some of the most important geological and biological processes on Earth. It's an underwater volcano. It's 300 miles off Oregon's coast, and it's showing signs of an impending eruption, the first since 2015. See, it's done this before. They just want you to forget about it. Though lesser known than the Cascade Range volcanoes, scientists are eager to study it. It offers valuable insight into the Earth's geological and biological processes. In December of 2024, scientists announced that the American Geophysical Union Conference at the Axial Seamount, an underwater volcano off Oregon's coast, was likely to erupt before the end of 2025. And the news sparked global interest, clickbait, and local concerns. Would the eruption be dangerous? Could it trigger major earthquakes? How is it going to impact marine life, such as orcas and salmon? The Ocean Observatory's initiative, Regional Cabled Array, we're going to call that RCA, run by the University of Washington, is one of the largest underwater observatories. It has 150 real-time sensors spread across the Juan de Fuca plate, from the Oregon coast to the Axial Seamount, 300 miles offshore. Since 2014, the RCA has provided high-resolution images, live video feeds, you can go look at it live, and vital oceanic data. When the Axial Seamount erupts, science will have a direct real-time view offering valuable insight to underwater volcanic activity. And the Axial Seamount's hydrothermal vents are underwater hot springs where seawater is heated by magma, which is lava, in a superheated mineral-rich plumes. Despite the extreme conditions, these vents support microbes and marine lives, forming a unique deep-sea ecosystem. There's actually creatures that can survive the heat near that. Axial Seamount is too deep and far offshore. It's about a mile deep for its eruption to be noticeable on land. It also won't trigger earthquakes or tsunamis in the Pacific Northwest. Well, most people are happy to stay away from volcanoes and earthquakes. Scientists are eager to run towards it since no one has ever directly seen an eruption and mid-ocean spreading centers, leaving many questions unanswered. The first sign of the eruption is a sudden increase of earthquakes. As the magma pushes towards the surface, lava will flow, spreading across the cauldron within an hour, and fissures will open up to 25 miles away. Seismic activity rapidly decreases over the next few days, but the eruption continues for about a month, gradually shaping the seafloor. Axial seamount eruptions create snowblower plumes of warm fluid carrying billions of microbes in white dumps of their waste. That sounds weird. It's doing a white dump. These rare events reveal how life thrives in extreme environments, possibly making underwater volcanoes key sources of life in our oceans. Though axial seamount eruptions aren't particularly violent, they produce startling sounds when seawater gets trapped beneath lava. It turns to steam, and as the steam escapes, it forms bubbles that collapse rapidly, causing a loud implosion. Detectable by hydrophones, scientists use these sounds to study the eruption process in real time. The axial seamount eruptions create low frequency sounds that some whale species might hear, but are unlikely to be affected. However, the hydrothermal vent ecosystems face a greater impact. In 2011, lava flow wiped out an entire venting area, yet within 3 months, life began to recolonize, showing the remarkable resilience of these deep sea communities. All right, so here we go. This is the clickbait. How do we know an eruption is near? Well, scientists, that's people smarter than me, predict axial seamount's eruption by monitoring two key signs: how much the volcano is inflating as magma builds up beneath it, and the frequency of earthquakes under the seabed. And I'm kind of picturing like a big pimple. Maybe I sort of should have made my graphic. Over time, magma pressure causes the volcano to swell, and some researchers believe this inflation can indicate when an eruption is imminent. If the hypothesis is correct, the axial seamount has already reached the same inflammation levels as before the last three eruptions, meaning it could erupt at any moment. Make sure to click that bait. However, these inflations alone does not provide the whole picture. Scientists are eager to study this eruption to improve their prediction methods. Axial seamount has inflated beyond 2015 levels. That's one big zit on Earth, indicating magma buildup, but earthquake activity remains low. Scientists observe 200 to 300 quakes per day, with an occasional spike around 1,000, influenced by tides. If past patterns hold, earthquake counts could exceed 2,000 per day for months before the eruption. Axial seamount eruptions are influenced by underground magma movement and tidal forces from the sun and the moon. The moon's gravity pulls on the ocean, subtly stressing Earth's crust. The ocean weight presses down on the volcano at high tide, reducing seismic activity. At low tide, that pressure eases, leading to more earthquakes. So there's more earthquakes at low tides. All right. Scientists are eager to see whether these tidal shifts also increase the likelihood of an eruption by adding stress to the magma chambers. The unexpected connection between volcanic activity and celestial forces, aliens, click on that, are a fascinating area of research, revealing how deeply interconnected Earth's systems are. Axial seamount's past eruptions occurred between January and May. See, there's your quick clickbait. Axial seamount's past eruptions have occurred between January and May. Some people are saying May 27, 7 days. When Earth moves away from the sun, from its gravitational pull weakens, scientists are eager to see if the next eruption follows this pattern. All right, so we've got till the end of May for the pimple to pop. While the exact timing remains uncertain, experts agree that an eruption is imminent. When it happens, the regional cabled array will stream real-time data capturing earthquakes, explosions, and a seafloor collapse. This will provide a unique opportunity to study underwater volcanic activity and refine eruption predictions. They're excited to share their findings as such eruption brings new insights and fosters collaboration in the scientific community. So there you go. Scientists aren't worried about it. And I got another article here. This one's from MSN. That one was from Science Today. It was a little more detailed. Hold on here. Let me get back caught up in the comments there. In 1983, that song should have been reading The Only Song I Hear. Yes, there was Wendell says there was a group of people living in North Georgia with blonde hair and blue eyes, the Cherokee called the Moon Eyes. And Chris says, I never had to worry about ocean volcanoes erupting until Trump was elected. He has ruined everything. That's right. Orange Man is causing this. Axl Rose would sometimes explode on concert goers back in the day. Speaking of which, there's a video of him falling down and they're making fun of him on social media because he did a Bruce Springsteen. So and Wendell says, did the pimple is a good example? Yes, I think it is. So there's a picture of it. And this is probably about a week ago, if I had to guess. And they're saying that it's brewing, but don't panic. It's been attracting attention for months, and it is well under 4,500 feet below the ocean surface. So you have all that pushing down, and it poses no danger to people. Well, the volcanoologists, is that a thing? I never heard that, are watching it remotely at the end of April, and it's a bit of a lull right now. Well, the massive undersea volcano reaches more than 3,600 feet below the seabed and is located 300 miles offshore, and it has erupted before in 2015. So who was president in 2015? A year ago, Axel deemed to be taking a nap, but now it's waking up. This is also in time for the new Jurassic Park movie. We need to check and see if a Godzilla movie's coming out too. I think they were filming one actually, and it's likely to erupt before the end of 2025, according to a volcanoologist with the Oregon State University. All right. And in an April 30th post, he said the magma inflammation. No, sorry, that's the paramedic in me. The magma inflation continued at a fairly steady clip, but the rate of earthquakes has fallen. Overall, the undersea volcano continues to grow, but it sure doesn't seem like anything is imminent, he wrote. I think I'm getting a little impatient. This guy's wanting it to blow. I probably need to take some deep breaths and calm down. We've still got 8 months before the end of the forecast. It runs out. So he's saying it could be any time between now and the end of the year. And then he led an expedition on May 7th to explore it, and he researched it. And he said it's a joke that it's likely to erupt when it is least convenient. May is looking pretty inconvenient time for it to erupt. I don't know why May is inconvenient for it. There's nothing going on, so there's no election. So what will happen? Well, among humans, only scientists using an array of instruments will know about it, and I'm sure Fox News and CNN will be out there. If you were to boat right over the seamount, you probably would never know it's erupting, as there is no effect on the ocean surface. Though if you lowered a hydrophone, it's like a big ear, you might hear it because there's a lot of commotion going on. Well, that's an understatement. There's just a volcano erupting between two tectonic plates. No big deal. Nothing to see here. So, at any rate, this has all been clickbait by some shows to get you to come over and watch their channel. So, we are not like that. We prefer things that are a lot less dangerous, explosive. I don't know. Sometimes we wander into sports, entertainment, Hollywood. We do politics. But today, we're going to talk about the Wienermobile because it's getting to race at Indy. For the last few years, Memorial Day has become one of the highlights of the racing calendar, specifically the Indy 500. Monaco Grand Prix and the Coca-Cola 600 all take place within hours of one another. Dare I add a couple other races to your list? It is a Motorhead's Day. As promised yesterday, an iconic maker of the low-volume cars just announced it's going racing for the first time. That's right, the Wienermobile will hit the bricks this Friday as the opening race of Memorial Day weekend. Not only is it the inaugural race for the long trucks, it is the first time all 6 Wieners will be in the same place at the same time for over a decade. They're calling it the Weenie 500, and it'll involve 6 trucks, each dressed up in different regions of hot dog style. The Chi Dog, the New York, I'm going to assume that's Chicago, so calm down, Chris. The New York Dog, the Slaw Dog, the Sonoran Dog, Sonoran Dog, the Chili Dog, and the Seattle Dog. No one's told me there's a specific kind of hot dog for the Pacific Northwest, so I had to look it up. Seattle dogs are essentially a delicious mashup of hot dogs and bagel. That sounds interesting. The origins often disputed, but may have something to do with a bagel cart that started selling hot dogs too. The dogs are split open, seared, and then served with cream cheese and sauteed onions. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Polish sausage is often used instead of regular old dogs. I think I'd like to try the hot dogs. Other hot toppings include jalapenos, yay, sauerkraut, nay, and cabbage can be included. Condiments like mustard, okay, sriracha, I'm there, barbecue sauce, nah, and give the dish a little tang and zip. Ketchup is typically a no-no, but we won't tell you if you decide to add the drizzle. I don't really usually put hot dogs or ketchup on hot dogs. I'm all for pluralism and regional specificity, but what kind of crap ass dog is this? This is from the author of The Autopian. I also love that, according to this write-up, ketchup is a no-no, but it's totally fine to add cabbage, barbecue sauce, and sriracha. If Seattle wins, we riot. All right. The Indy 500 marks the unofficial kickoffs of summer and the start of hot dog season, said Kelsey Rice, brand communications director at Oscar Mayer. As a brand known for sparking smiles in a disarmingly delightful way, it is only fitting that we bring a race of epic proportions to the Speedway and celebrate the timeless tradition of delicious meats in a little friendly competition to kick off the summer of wieners. So I can't. I know I go from a serious world-ending story. Yes, Wendell, we're about to get into that. The world-ending story to we're going headfirst into wieners. So on a more serious note, the brand doesn't exactly say how the race is going to work. The organization has been untrustworthy before, so I'm not going to believe the hot dogs will actually drive 500 miles. No. Especially because the race starts Friday, May 23rd at 2 p.m. on the Fox Sports app and various social accounts. So it's going to be on during our show. We should somehow tap into that on like a little screen so that we're not violating copyright. The trucks simply can't go 500 miles. The time will run out. Well, obviously they can't. They may go more than 50 laps. He'll be happy. All right, well. Oh, there's a gambling aspect to this that bores me. My money is on whoever rolled the little Wienermobile. That hot dogger has the right spirit. If fast dogs aren't your thing, the Trans Am Memorial Classic is also bringing awesome racing to the world of weekend, and you can watch it on Speed Sport 1. And if you need something to enjoy between the Indy, F1, and NASCAR, it's one of those cool series that isn't getting enough mainstream attention because it doesn't have a bunch of hot dogs. All right. Editor noted that this is likely the most important post you will read today. He is correct. I thought I would add something more, so I made this handy chart outlining the various Wienermobiles and their expected advantages and disadvantages based on the characteristics of the hot dog they're named for, which I think is entirely rational. I hope this helps. Okay, so the number one is the Chicago, and it is pro pickle spears. Nope. And it may add an aero advantage. But the con is it's high mass unstable. The New York pro sauerkraut, nope, adds fermented power, but the cons, steamed buns lacked rigidity in corners. The Slaw Dog is an excellent lubricant. I can't believe I just said that. The cons can cause slippage. The Sonoran, high spice potent, add speeds. Con, bacon wrap may violate the specifications. Wait a minute. There's a hot dog with bacon? I'm in. Seattle, the pro is cream cheese. It's a wild card. Con, grilled onions may cause slippage. I'm talking about wieners, lubricant, and slippage. What is my show gone to? And number 6, Wendell, you said there was only 6. The chili dog. Pro, it's melted cheese. It helps structure. The con, the chili is unpredictable at speed. And they said that this graphic is for entertainment purposes only. Any use of gambling or wagering is not sanctioned by this journal. And they are not responsible for it. All right, so everybody get your bets in. I'm going with the chili dog. I think number 6 is going to pull it off. I would like to know who's driving them. If they have like professional race, God, that squeak's going to drive me crazy. If we had professional race car drivers, I'm going with the chili dog. I know, Chris, you're probably pulling for the Chicago dog. The Summer of Wiener races is right up there with the Key West Hurricane Dinosaur. I couldn't agree more. We've got to find a way to get something from that on our show. On, they said it was Friday at 2, right? So we've got to figure out a way that we can somehow illegally stream a small portion of the Wiener dog. All right, we're going to stay serious for a little bit. Oh, man, I'm going to run out of time today if I keep this up. Birds keep exploding in California, and nobody knows why. Okay. By all accounts, Richmond, California is a pretty chill Bay Area suburb, and then residents started finding exploded birds in their yards. Residents have been finding dead birds scattered across their yard, with several reportedly exploding in midair. There have been 13 exploded birds so far, and security cam footage even caught one poor bird plummeting from a power line right after a loud pop. At first, locals thought it was a case of birds finally encountering a utility line that simply would not take being sat upon anymore. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife did a necropsy, I'm assuming it's, bird autopsy, on 2 of the dead birds and found they were not killed by electrical burns. It looked like they had been shot by a pellet gun, BB gun, or even a slingshot. The department was sure to note that they can't say the same for all the birds that have died of late, but it does open the possibility that someone might straight up be hunting birds in the suburbs with a projectile weapon that's not quite a gun, but still strong enough to give an everyday bird that distinct exploded vibe. It gets weirder. Even with the physical trauma, investigators could not definitely say what caused all of the bird's death. So they're left with 2 possible culprits: a faulty power grid or a stealthy neighborhood bird sniper. Maximilian Bowling, a Richmond resident who claims to have seen several birds pop live in person while they were perching on power line, describes it as a really violent event. Meanwhile, fellow resident Sharon Anderson is just calling it horrifying. PG&E, the utility company that services Richmond, did what PG&E does: gives its poor reputation, deny responsibility, and issue politely vague statements that said their power lines are avian safe standards, and their investigations found 0 signs of the city's infrastructure causing the mysterious bird massacre. So if it's not the power lines, it might be a human with ammo to burn. It looks like local authorities are trying to find a person rather than a faulty power line. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife is investigating. But until then, Richmond's birds will continue living in fear of a mysterious threat that aims to shoot them out of the sky. All right, so there we go. Let's see. That's right. The summer of Cheyenne would be with the pickles and we. Who would? Oh, no. Pickle on a hot dog? No, that's wrong. All right, so we're going to go from birds exploding to a venomous insect from China and has invaded 19 states. Is your hometown at risk? This comes to us from the Daily Mail. Officials are sounding the alarm as the venomous Asian needle ants are invading more parts of the U.S. These insects are native to China, have a sting that can trigger severe allergic reactions, and in extreme cases, cause death. The invasive species was first spotted in the U.S. more than 90 years ago, but its population has recently surged. It's the border. I bet it's the border. And now is spreading up the East Coast, experts say. They are now found in 19 states. All right, get ready. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Kentucky, Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, New York, Wisconsin, and Washington. The Asian ants are small to medium sized ants, with workers in queens measuring up to 1/5 of an inch in length. They are shiny, dark brown to black, and with the end of the antenna and legs being lighter orange brown. Their stings cause intense pain at the site that comes and goes over the course of several hours. But some people have reported pain away from the sting site, according to the USDA. Some people may experience anaphylaxis, a potential life-threatening allergic reaction as a result of the Asian needle sting. These ants prefer damp areas beneath stones and rotting logs, but have been found in parks, lawns, potted plants, under wood piles, and hiding in construction materials such as logs, bricks, and pavers. They have been reported foraging inside homes and buildings and may pose a problem as residential invaders in the future. We are now considering it medically important pest, Dr. Suter, a professor of urban entomology at the University of Georgia, told Fox Weather. It gets a little bit more serious when the sting of the insect can be life-threatening to people who suffer anaphylaxis. Last year, he responded to 3 cases of anaphylaxis in Georgia who had been stung by the Asian needle ant. Symptoms of anaphylaxis, well, we all know this: skin rash, low blood pressure, constriction of the airway, swelling of the tongue or throat, weak and rapid pulse, nausea, vomiting, or other signs as diarrhea, dizziness, fainting, and psychological symptoms such as a sense of impending doom. Get stung by an Asian ant, impending doom. While cases of anaphylaxis has been reported in the U.S., a percentage of the Americans who have experienced these have extreme reaction remains unknown, but people who are often hypersensitive to other stinging insects, such as bees, like that one I showed, red ants or mosquitoes, could be at higher risk of reaction to the Asian needle sting. And they conducted a study that native range of ants spans China, Japan, and Korea, and showed that 2.1% of the people stung exhibited anaphylaxis. And I'm going to make this bigger for you here, so let's take a look at this map here. This is serious for us. So this is pretty much all of the East Coast. Why did they not move to West Virginia? Chris, we need to know, why are they not in West Virginia? So why do Asians have so many deadly bugs? I don't know. So someone have a 410 with a silencer. I don't know if a 410 would be a good weapon for that, but that would be kind of cool if I have a 410 with a silencer. Not that that's in a bang stick or anything, YouTube. So, all right. So we'll jump into something a little more serious. We are going to we press for time. We'll just skim over the rest of this stuff. The French police have recovered a bust from Jim Morrison's grave 37 years after it was stolen. The bust was created by Croatian artist Mladen Mockery and placed on the 10th anniversary of his death in 1981. I preferred him much more than I prefer the police. Close to 4 decades after it was lifted from the gravesite of the Doors' late frontman, Jim Morrison, a bust of his likeness has been recovered by the French police. The sculpture was created by the Croatian artist Mladen Mockery and was placed on his grave. I read that already. And on his anniversary in 1981. It was stolen 7 years later in May of 1998, with Vanity Fair noting that 2 individuals were reported to have taken the statue after being locked in the cemetery overnight. After I interviewed somebody in one of my shows that had just come, like literally the day before, had come from the cemetery there. After years and rumors, innuendos surrounding its face, Parisian police have now announced the bust has been recovered with its rediscovery during a search related to a fraud case. No other details were given to its whereabouts for the past 37 years have been announced, nor has been shared with us. And will it return to its original location along top of Morrison's grave? All right. So that's interesting. It's stolen and returned. All right. This one we'll jump into. Sesame Street has a new home. That's right. Remember, Trump handlers won't allow that nonsense in West Virginia. That's right. Is it just me, or does it look like Elmo here is giving the finger? So we all know that Trump fired Sesame Street. It was all Orange Man's fault. So it's a sunny day on Sesame Street as Netflix has acquired the streaming rights to the long-running children's show. Under the deal announced on Monday, Netflix will air new episodes of Sesame Street worldwide, as well as obtain the show's expansive library catalog. New episodes will continue to air let's try this again. New episodes will also continue to air in the U.S. on local PBS station. It's a major boon for Sesame Street Workshop, which has been looking for a new home after Warner Brothers Discovery opted out of its deal in 2024. A significant portion of Sesame Street's funding comes from the distribution and licensing associated with PBS, and they're potentially facing their own funding challenges. Netflix offers the show long-term financial stability going into its 56th season. So there you go. I swear, Elmo looks like he's giving the finger. Maybe it's just me. At any rate, Sesame Street's got a new home, and it's on Netflix. Come check it out. All right, I found this article kind of interesting. The Army is investigating whether Rangers fired weapons at public beach before a pirate sea battle. Okay. Posts on social media indicate that the incident took place on Friday afternoon before the soldiers with the 6th Ranger Training Battalion took part in a private festival at Fort Walton Beach. They sure do look like they're aiming some guns somewhere, don't they? This guy laying down here looked like he's going to snipe somebody. So, and this guy, notice with the red cross on, doesn't want to get shot. He's taking pictures. The Army has launched an investigation into whether a group of Army Rangers fired automatic weapons at a popular beach crowded with boaters and tourists on Friday in Destin. Jennifer S. Gunn, we can't make this up, a spokeswoman for the Army Maneuver Center of Excellence at Fort Benning, Georgia, told Task and Purpose, this is the paper this came out in, that officials are looking into the incident in which men wearing military uniforms and Ranger t-shirts fired blank rounds at Crab Island in Destin, triggering several calls to police and a flurry of social media posts. The Army is aware of the incident that occurred at Crab Island near Fort Walton Beach on Florida Friday, May 16th. She told us, "We take the situation seriously and are investigating. The Army will ensure accountability based upon the outcome of the investigation. No further information is available." Officials could not confirm if a group has been firing weapons at Crab Islands were Rangers, but local officials confirmed to Task and Purpose that a group of Army Rangers participated that afternoon in a sanctioned public event 5 miles away that did involve firing weapons with blank rounds. Soldiers with the Army's 6th Ranger Battalion, assigned to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, took part in a mock sea battle with a pirate ship on Friday evening as part of Billy Bowleg, I don't know who Billy Bowleg is, his pirate festival, said Devin Ravine, a spokeswoman for the city of Fort Walton. Riding in small boats, the Rangers fired blanks while maneuvering their boats to capture Billy Bowlegs. The 6th Ranger Training Battalion runs the swamp phase of Ranger School at Eglin. Okay, so they do have something to do with the Rangers, but it is not within the 75th Ranger Regiment. The event took place at Fort Walton Beach Landing, another popular boating destination, a short boat ride from the Destin across from the Choctaw Bay. This was the only approved festival activity that involved Army Rangers firing their weapons, she said. The pirate festival, he said, was about 5 miles from Crab Islands. We do not know what occupied Crab Island on Friday and cannot comment except to say that it was not in part of any of Billy Bowleg's pirate festival. The Pirate Battle in Fort Walton is an annual event that was announced earlier in the week with public alerts that simulated gunfire might be heard during the event. Rangers from the 6th Ranger Training Battalion at Eglin Air Force Base have participated in the events in past years, and they were there again on Friday. One witness told the newspaper that the group in uniforms began firing without issuing any sort of warning ahead of time. Okay, you know you're going to an event where they're going to simulate taking out pirates. And they're supposed to get on a megaphone and go, hey, you may hear something go boom. After the second burst, they heard people screaming, and his heart sank because he worried someone had been shot. This is unacceptable because there are so many real mass shootings going on in America each year, he said. You can't be joking about it. You went to an event where you know that the military was going to capture pirates. I'm confused here. And they told you in advance that you might hear simulated gunfire. All right, so you can check it out on social media and see for yourself if the military did actually shoot Captain Bowlegs or Pirate Bowlegs, whatever his name was. So, all right, if you're in Ohio, you're probably having some health experiences today. Kettering Health has released an updated statement. They're under a cyber attack. System-wide technology outage is causing challenges to many of our patient care systems across the organization. We have plans in place for these type of situations and will continue to provide safe, high-quality care. But they're closing all their facilities and stopping all procedures due to a cyber attack in Kettering, Ohio, a major hospital network here in the Miami Valley fell victory to a cyber attack early this morning. And last reported is they are still shut down because of the cyber attack. So if you're in that part of Ohio, you might want to turn your computer off. All right, we're just going to highlight this one real quick. This comes from one with someone from the show. Let me catch up here. Elbow with the orange nose gives middle finger to orange man. That's it. I'm just send that to Jurgs. Virginia's new social media law targets teens' access via parental consent and age checks. All right, this is interesting. Virginia is preparing to enforce one of the nation's most sweeping new restrictions on social media across for access for teens, requiring parental consent, time limits, and age checks for users under 16. The governor signed the law, Glenn Youngkin, he's got to be a good guy, his name Glenn, in May, and it takes effect January 1st, 2026. It applies to any platform that allows public profiles, messaging, and shared content feed. And I could come ask me. And basically, it goes on to say that anyone under 16 needs verification, and they will only be allowing more than 1 hour a day per service. So I don't know. And they can't give out minors data. And it's one of a dozen states that has proposed this: Utah, Texas, Florida, Maryland, and California, while other details require age verification and parental consent for minors to create accounts or use apps beyond a time limit. So privacy advocates are worried, obviously, about this, and it goes into a great deal about the legal concerns, and that it's unlikely it will survive judicial scrutiny, they say. So there's going to be several battles about this in courts from several different states. And so sometime next year, if you're under 16, you may have to get mommy to sign for you to get on. All right, let me catch up on chats here. Well, that's a spammer, so yeah, go away, spammer. All right, this is from the Daily Mail, which is a UK rag, and it tells us the unexpected state where migrants are pouring through the border at a record pace. All right, so we know we got a DMZ set up in the South. What in the world is going on? The U.S. is known for lobsters, beautiful coastline. This U.S. state is known for lobster, beautiful coastlines, and being the home of elites like actors and former presidents, has become a hotbed for illegal crossings under President Trump. Most migrants sneaking into the U.S. through Maine in 24 years was recorded last month via the U.S. Border Patrol. While the Pine Tree State usually saw between 20 and 50 encounters a month along the presidency of Joe Biden, the former president, and now they're seeing up to 113 in April. It shows that the migrants are desperately trying to make it to the United States or choosing to enter through Canada, bypassing the intense layers of security at the Mexican border 2,000 miles away, where crossings have declined. On the northern frontier, manpower pales in comparison to the U.S. international border. Migrants that illegally entered through Maine are from 16 different countries, with 42 migrants from Ecuador, 15 from Guatemala, and 12 from Mexico among the three highest. All right. Another six were from Venezuela, the country that largely fueled the border crisis during the Biden years. Okay. In March, a Venezuelan man accused of belonging to the brutal gang Tren de la Agua was arrested for theft and turned over to the Border Patrol. The U.S. the Daily Mail was the first news organization in America to break the news about Tren de la Agua coming to America. So they're coming from Maine now. And in March, they had apprehended 72. Maine's numbers are extremely low compared to the rest of the country, where the busiest entry point of El Paso saw 1,959 in April. But it's long been considered an outpost for the agency, where even during the migrant crisis under Biden, monthly encounters were as low as 4 people per month. It's too damn cold up there, according to figures released from the federal government. In December, when Biden was president, there were only 18. Number jumps to 50 in January, and Trump's all Trump's fault. Then increased again in February to 52, 72 in March, and peaking at 113 last month. All right, so they're coming in from Canada now. We're going to have to put up a northern border. So, all joking aside, they did kill a Customs and Border Immigration officer not long ago, too. So, that was right about the time I started doing this show. All right, we still got a few minutes. We'll cover a little bit of entertainment news. If you follow WWE, Zoe Stark, she suffered a horrifying injury during the Money in the Bank qualifier, and Rhea Ripley advances. And she was seriously injured, and so she sank to the mat and held her knee while screaming after jumping at Cara Sane for a move during a triple threat Money in the Bank qualifier match on the WWE. She jumped off the ropes for an offensive move, but fell to the mat, grabbed her knee before hitting it. The referee checked on Stark right away and forced both Sane and the other competitors in the match, Ray Ripley, in the respective corners as the show went to an impromptu commercial break. And if you look at this, I don't know if I can make this larger. It's X. You can do anything larger. Yeah. She stuck the landing a little too much. So she's seriously injured there. Zoe Stark, we send our support to you, because that could be a career-ending injury right there. So hopefully she will be okay and come back. So when the show returned, Michael Cole explained that the WWE doctors were worried she had re-injured a knee that she had surgery on, and she'd been taken to the locker, and the match continued on. So she went on. She was out, and so I assume this lady is the woman that led it, Rhea Ripley. I don't know. I don't know. She qualified for the Money in the Bank tournament. So there you go. That was trending. And I wanted to cover this because Trump presents the first ever medals of sacrifice to families of slain law enforcement officers. If you remember last week, we talked about it was Police Week, and this week is EMS Week. The families of 3 Florida law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty last year were presented the first ever medals of sacrifice by President Donald Trump in the Oval Office on Monday. Remember, we talked about his schedule. He had a private event there. He handed out the medals to the loved ones of Corporal Luis Paez Jr., Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butcher Waller Jr., and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz, all former officers with the Palm Beach County, Florida Sheriff's Offices. The officers were killed after they were struck by an SUV on November 21st, 2024. Today, we remember these remarkable heroes who will become the medal's first ever recipients. It's a big honor, Trump said. It was a very terrible tragedy. It shook the entire Palm Beach community like very few events ever have seen, according to Trump, whose Mar-a-Lago home is in Palm Beach. All of Florida mourned their loss, and today our entire nation joins in honoring these 3 incredible patriots taken from us much too soon. So thank you to President Trump for recognizing law enforcement. I know everybody wants to get on Bad Orange Man, but that was a good thing. All right, let's jump over to what we do daily here. I mean, that's not it. Well, I do need to bring that, but for other reasons. Let me get get it out of the way. There we go. Where is? Here we go. FEMA woke up on us. How about that? Yes, FEMA is back awake again. They are giving us our daily operations briefing, and it is for Tuesday, May 20th at 2025. And for those of you new to the show, this is our jam. We do the daily operations briefing, and we tell you the beef without it being clickbait. We like to make fun of the other shows, although I do watch them so you don't have to, and I'm a big fan of several of them. I won't name them here, but there's several of them I really like, and some of them put out some great content, while others just like to find that thing to click on. So I would appreciate if you're watching this for the first time, if you'd hit that thumbs up button, please subscribe and tell your friends that we're not all doom and gloom. So this is the same report the president gets without all the secret mojo stuff in it. It was presented to him today at 8:30 a.m. Now, what we're watching today, remember, this is none of the top secret stuff, is severe weather in the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley, excessive rainfall in the Mississippi Valley, all the way to the Appalachians. That's going to be us. Excessive heat in South Texas. And we're talking about some tropical activity in the Eastern Pacific. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's see. So Michigan and Missouri have requested emergency declarations for help and FEMA's help. And they're monitoring all these storms. And talking about this in the Eastern Pacific, it's located several miles south of the coast of Mexico. It's moving west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour, and it's near 0% in the next 7 days. And it's low, the next 48 hours. In the next 7 days, it's less than 20%. So what they're talking about there is that turning into a bigger tropical storm. So all right, severe thunderstorms in southern plains to mid-Atlantic. We're going to cover this extensively today. Severe weather, because there's also severe weather for our friends listening on Radio X in Australia, just north of Sydney. So we're going to talk about that as well. It's a severe weather outbreak. And, this is, like it says, this has been ongoing for several days in the central U.S. And, well, today is supposed to be the last day of the violent weather. And I don't know if, yes, they do say 80 tornadoes, and it's 878 for the year. That's more than 182 than previous years. So, yes, this has been a rough May. Welcome to spring, but it's not been anything friendly. So, and let's see, we'll just highlight this real quick. In Oklahoma, the state has reported 10 homes destroyed. Arkansas reports an unknown number of homes have been damaged. Energy and power outages are still being reported to all those areas. And in, where are we looking at down here? Arkansas, 21,000 customers without power. Oklahoma, 25,000 without power. Missouri, 46,000 without power. Kansas, 9,000 without power. Food, hydration, shelter, multiple shelters have been opened across the affected regions. And they talk about where they are, the number of occupants. Health and medical, they have got medical treatments that they're sending out. Kentucky has reported 19 fatalities, 96 injuries. And then Indiana reports 1 fatality, 3 injured. Missouri, 7 fatalities with 30 injuries. Approximately 185 customers are without power in Kentucky. Without water in Kentucky. In Arkansas, their water association treatment plant is damaged due to a lightning strike affecting delivery for 3,000. The Arkansas National Guard is providing water to affected residents, and 2 water systems are under boil advisory. And I'm sure this is going to get worse as the day goes on. Let's see. Alabama, Florida, and Kentucky, we're all monitoring. Our emergency systems are activated. Oklahoma is at partial activation. Texas is monitoring wildfires. And Arkansas is still at we just said that partial activation due to the severe weather. So the bigger picture, let's just stroll down here. The bigger picture. Some of this, if not most of this, may have already occurred, stretching from Louisiana all the way up to actually Maine. Before the end of this cold front is pushing this here on the rear end. And when it's hitting this Gulf air, it's exploding. And today has been the worst and will be the worst that we have seen. So if you're in anywhere in the red shaded area, which includes Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, oh, Tennessee, that's us. So I'm under the gun. Partially Arkansas and the tips of northern and Alabama, Georgia as well. So if you're in the yellow area, you can anticipate that there's some severe stuff with it. And like I said, it goes from Louisiana all the way up into West Virginia, back over to Illinois, back down to the Carolinas. Wednesday, this is going to weaken because that cold front is going to continue to push north. Let's see, it's going to be pushing north. No, yeah, it's going to be pushing northwest, right? No, southwest. Sorry, I'm confused. It's coming from the left to the right. And it's going to be pushing down, causing that front to lose its energy when it cuts it off totally. It'll be cooler in the south for a couple days, and that moisture is going to continue, but there's a chance up in Maine on Wednesday for a slight small nor'easter. So the severe weather outlook for today, pretty much all of Tennessee and the tops of northern and Alabama, Georgia, and was that Arkansas? Is that right? Arkansas, right? Am I saying this right? Yeah, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, yeah, are all in the red areas, or tips of them are. But anybody should be weather aware here. And we're going to talk about something else that's dangerous. Wednesday, it's just going to be mainly a rain event along the Atlantic coast from the 95 corridor all the way up almost to Maine and then over to Texas. And then Thursday, it's going to be split in half and be nothing but rain, nothing severe. So, but the hazardous outlook expected is pretty much, well, Arkansas, Tennessee, in that area. Wildfires, there's only one that they're monitoring, and that is in Arizona. We'll talk about that in a bit. There's a lot of data on this map, too much to see. Wendell said, would it chase away the storms if I danced naked outside? Nobody wants to see that, Wendell. Nobody wants to see that. I don't even want to see that. All right, let's make the screen larger. This is the president's daily schedule. Ooh, my. The press is not going to be happy. I'll have to check on my buddy, Penguin 6. 7:45 a.m. call time. It means you got to be there, have your stuff set up and ready to go. Well, at 8:40, he went to the Capitol, and there's probably a press pool over there because they're calling it the in-town travel pool. 8:50, he arrives at the Capitol, and then at 9 a.m., he delivered remarks to the GOP conference meeting, which has already taken place. And then at 9:50, he's going back to the White House, where at 10 a.m., he arrived. And of course, it's in-town travel pool. And then at 11:55 a.m., which has already happened, he participates in a Take Our Sons and Daughter Workday event. Okay, well, hopefully he's got his whole family there. He's got a lovely family. And at 1 o'clock, he did a press briefing for Take Our Sons and Daughters to Workday by the White House press secretary. Actually, he's going to be there, but she's going to be holding the press conference in the James S. Brady briefing room. 3 o'clock, he's going to make an announcement with the SecDef. 3 o'clock. So time my show goes off, he's going to make an announcement with the SecDef. Interesting. I do not have any clue what that may be, unless it's Iron Dome. Don't know. All right, so let's get into we're going to go with this definition of the DEF CON level, because from my research, the other one tends to be a little bit less jaded, whereas this one really gets into the data. So we're going to say we're still at a DEF CON level 3 with a probable or substantial potential for attack. And we named all the cities where bad things could happen. They could be anywhere in the U.S., but they're specifically looking at big cities on the East Coast, major metropolitan areas, and then we have to talk about the West Coast and public gatherings as well. Now, the only update they have was an operational test launch of an unarmed Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile. It's going to occur on the 21st, which is tomorrow, and it's going to be going from the North Vandenberg Space Base in California. So that's the only thing noted, but I did read on another page that Russia is also testing its same missile about the same time. So we're doing a stick measuring contest to see who has the biggest stick. So there you go. Let's just read this article about the test launch. And Wendell says, do strippers take their kids to work? That's an interesting question, Crystal. Wendell. Why did I just call you Crystal? 3:05 media outrage at what was just said at 3 p.m. Exactly. No matter what is said, somebody please check on Yergs and make sure he doesn't have a stroke. All right. So the Air Force is scheduled to conduct an ICBM test launch. It's a operational test launch. It's unarmed Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile. And it's going to launch between 12:01 and 5 a.m. This is Pacific time out in California. It's a routine test that has been scheduled years in advance. Notice that they say years in advance, but didn't we just recently, and I'll say maybe towards the end of Biden's term, start hearing about hypersonic missiles? How can you schedule something years in advance that didn't exist until then? Okay. My bad. Just questioning. It's the missile for this launch was pulled from the 341st Missile Wings Complex and transported to Vandenberg. The Air Force rotates between 3 missile wings to pull off a missile launch. The launch crew will include a mix of airmen from 3 missile wings. All right. Maintainers are coming from Malmstrom and Warren Air Force Base. And it's going to validate the effectiveness, readiness, and accuracy of the weapon systems. And the purpose of the launch to demonstrate the readiness of the U.S. nuclear forces to provide confidence in the lethality and effectiveness in nuclear deterrent. Air Force is maintaining the Minuteman III system while it converts to the new Sentinel system. All right, so you'll have that if you live out on the West Coast. The 21st of May between midnight and 5:01 a.m. I'm going to say they're going to go with 3 o'clock. If I was a betting man, they're going to launch off something that goes boom. So there you go. Yeah, you're right, Chris. I should hang on. Refuse with the sec death. Sorry, this chair is killing me. It's a 1945 civil or Cold War era chair. All right, so this is the forecast map. We'll check it out to see if there's any changes from what we saw. It doesn't look like they've changed the area much, except for the potential of rainfall now extends down into Mexico, all the way. Pretty much just picture a boomerang from the Atlantic coast back to Montana and down in deep Texas. And once again, we're talking about snow in the higher elevations. And by the way, in the next couple of days, there may be snow further to the northeast. We'll talk about that soon. All right, so tomorrow it's going to cool off as that cold front pushes to the south. We'll be pushing to the southeast. There we go. I can talk now. And it's going to be mainly a rain event, except for Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and then it could be a little bit more severe up towards the Maine area, but we will see how that plays out depending upon the energy left. And we still see in Idaho and Oregon, even as late as May 22nd, higher elevations could see snow. There's one place in Oregon I've always wanted to go to, and that is Crater Lake. And I think you can only get there like 2 months out of the year or something because of its elevation and the amount of rain. So yeah, it's quite, it does snow throughout the United States during the summer months. All right. So this here is just a comparison between two different sources. This is the NATO cast on the top row, and this is the National Weather Service on the bottom, NOAA. And so today they're talking about the Torcon value. And if you really look at it, can I make it bigger? Yes, I can. If you look at it, you're looking at from Memphis to Chattanooga back up to Kentucky, where it is going to be the worst. That is now anticipated to go further east and some up into Kentucky. But anywhere in that real danger zone is a chance of a tornado. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Let's go back here and let's look at the national weathers and see what they say. They only call about a 10% chance in the center, whereas the NATO cast call for it to be slightly worse. Now they're calling for their wind day event. Looks like pretty much central Tennessee, the mid part of Tennessee, Nashville down to North Alabama is going to be the windiest, but it's going to extend out in a pretty large radius, pretty much covering all of Tennessee, down to mid Georgia, mid Alabama, and most of Kentucky, extending into Alabama, extending into West Virginia. So if you're anticipating any wind, that's a good chance you're going to see it if you live in those areas. The National Weather Service is calling it a 45%, pretty much center core, Nashville, and North Alabama. From the rest, they're calling it anywhere from a 20 to 5%. Did I say 45% chance in central Tennessee for high winds today? And I anticipate that that's going to change. All right, for the hail, hail, yeah. All right, pretty much all of Tennessee once again, with pretty much an isolated area. This will be Chattanooga, a little to the west, and down into some parts of Alabama, but it's really going to cover most of like maybe Murfreesboro. I don't think it'll make it up to Nashville, but it's going to be pretty severe weather. And there's a reason I'm highlighting, not only because I'm here in Tennessee, there's a reason I'm highlighting this. We'll talk about in a minute. And we'll see the National Weather Service. They predict that to be a little bit further to the west, more like in the Memphis area, but the cone's still going to cover a large area of not only the south, but part of the short, I guess you could call it the Ohio Valley and short Midwest there. So there's a pretty good chance for hail. And I'm talking about all this today a little more for a specific reason, which I'll go into in a minute. But I don't want to forget our friends down under, because they're experiencing some severe storms on their northern coast with lots of damaging wind and flooding. And it could come inland on New South Wales and Sydney and be pretty significant. It's going to be a very windy day. If you're in New South Wales, down in Sydney, that storm with that high pressure is spinning off the coast, and it's going to make it further inland. But the worst part of this will be the flooding. So right now, the temperatures, and I'm sorry to my Australian fans, on the north side of the continent, I'm doing this in Fahrenheit, so you have to bear with me. I'm a Yankee. Sydney is 64. That front sitting off there that's spinning is a cold front that's causing all this damage and the high winds, and just sitting there spinning and giving you the rain in Brisbane and inland slightly, but you can expect a lot of rain today if you're on the northern coast. Otherwise, currently in Darwin, it's 74, Broome 67, Port Hedland 66, all the way down in Perth, it's 54, Adelaide 43, Melbourne 37. Not only do you have the flooding, if you're a little bit inland there with Melbourne, you had some frost to deal with this morning too. So it's going to be a chilly morning, and then it's going to be a little bit wet if you're over closer to the north coast. All right, let's go up to the U.S. to see what the temperatures are doing. Here we'll be able to see that inversion where the cold front is really pushing. If you notice out here, Seattle 55, Portland 56, Medford 57, you can kind of see even down in Albuquerque at 64 that cold front is really trying to push. Further north, it's Minneapolis, it's 44. And then you see this line right here where we're going from Houston to Memphis to St. Louis and Louisville. We're looking at temperatures from 89, 82, 79, and 72. That's where it's meeting the energy, but it gets better. We don't want to leave Florida out because they provide us with so much joy. Tampa, you're 91. Jacksonville, you're 93. You win the highlight of the day for the warmest temperatures in the U.S. currently. Atlanta, 87. Nation's capital, 71. All the way up in Burlington, Vermont, you're looking at right around 45 degrees. New York, 66. Columbus, we love you. It's 60. Detroit, 56. Chicago, 54. Madison, up here, you're looking at about 44. St. Louis, you're 79. Memphis, we already talked about 79. All the way down in the Gulf Coast of America. Houston, 89. New Orleans, 88. If you're over in Pensacola, it's still warm. It's around 87. 91 Tampa, 93 Jacksonville. And it looks like down in the Keys, where it's always perfect, it's 82 degrees. All right, so that is the current temperatures. Now, let's jump over here. And, I just had you up here for a minute. Just give me a break. All I need is 1 minute. All right, so Tennessee, I'm always preaching that you need to be weather aware and have your weather radio, make sure it's electrical and battery powered. Well, here's where we're in trouble. This week, the service is out of service. So they're taking the entire system down during these storms, and you're not going to be able to get your alerts. Now, it's saying May 27th through 30th, unless they delayed it It was supposed to be this week. They're updating the system 8 a.m. May 27th through May 30th. So they might have changed it, but at any rate, I'm still going to sound the alarm. Be alert, because in Tennessee, your weather service may be updating and offline. So that's taking away some pretty important things to tell you that something's coming. So watch your local media, watch me, of course. Pay attention to what's around you. So, all right, we're going to see what kind of watches are out there currently. We see all kinds of gale warnings for up in the Northeast and small craft advisories. Arkansas, you have a severe thunderstorm. Kentucky, you have a special weather statement. Tennessee, you also have a special weather statement. And severe thunderstorms in Illinois. All right, so there's a tornado warning currently. This is right down there where we talked about in that Chattanooga. It's just to the west of there. Lawrence, Tennessee, a severe thunderstorm producing a tornado is located in Loretta, 12 miles south of Lawrenceburg, moving east at 30 miles an hour. So it's a radar indicated rotation. So if you're there, take cover now. And that's in Lawrence, Tennessee. So that is, like we were talking about a minute ago, that's just to the west of Chattanooga. And we'll go down here to Arkansas. Well, where'd it go? Arkansas, you have a tornado watch in effect. And it currently looks like it's affecting the counties of Bradley, Calhoun, Claiborne, Cleveland, Dallas, Desha, Drew, Faulkner, Grant, Independence, Jackson, Jefferson, Lawrence, Lincoln, Lenoke, Monroe, Coetia, Perry, Prairie, Pulaski, Randolph, Sharp, and White. All right, so there's a tornado watch in effect for those areas until 8 p.m. So be weather aware. All right, and we can see the same thing. Well, I'm not going to cover all the counties, but basically Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, it's going to extend into the Northeast. Tornado watches. Tennessee is not quite to my area yet, but it will be moving that way rapidly to the east. So pay attention and watch for these warnings. Let's see. Then we talked about that one already. Chris, you know what I didn't see? Did I miss it? Was there a test message? So we got the tornado watch in Tennessee, Kentucky. Yeah, that's all in central Tennessee. Virginia, Southwest Virginia. If you're in Southwest Virginia, KG, pay attention. And then Kentucky also. Did we see a test message? I was so focused on the new things going on. Yes. We do have a test message for Montgomery County, Maryland. You are safe if you're in Montgomery County, Maryland, because they have tested. Please disregard. Why? All right, so let's take a look at what it's doing right now currently. This map comes to us from GMA. If you follow us, you know that I prefer this map because it breaks it down and shows where everything currently is. All right, so the only warning we have on the ground is, well, it is to the west of Memphis in Tennessee, and it is a tornado warning. That's the only one currently on the ground. Did they just change? No, okay, so it's still a tornado warning, and this one just popped up. And where is this one? No, this is Lawrence, Tennessee. It was just, I guess, smaller. That storm has spawned a tornado down there. So those are the key spots where the two tornado warnings are on the ground. Looking to zoom in here and see if there's anything else associated with these storms to the northeast. They have not picked up all of their power yet. As you can see, they're just extending into this cold front is just extending into the center part of the country where it's going to get that afternoon warming sensation. And they're predicting somewhere around 2 o'clock, it's going to pretty much go boom up here and cause some very severe weather from about 2 to 4 o'clock. And then it will be moving eastward, where it'll affect us in the evening and the overnight hours in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, going on up through the mid-Atlantic and out. So be weather aware, because later today, the same thing will be moving. It shouldn't have as much energy, but it is very explosive right now over the West Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama area. They haven't tapped into the Cape yet. Well, believe it or not, late tonight and into tomorrow, there is probably going to be a tornado warning up there. So yeah, Yeah, so keep your eyes and ears open. Let's look at which storm has the most electrical activity. Well, okay, first let me show you this. This is the way the jet stream is. Let me make sure I got it updated here. All right, so this is the way the jet stream currently is. Yeah, no. Leave me alone. I got things to do. I got a show to run here. Ain't got time for that. You can see how the jet stream is swooping down from the north, and it's right there right now, pretty much over the center part of the country, and is trying to extend down into the Gulf of America. So the jet stream is making a big dip from the north and going to provide us with hopefully some cooler temperatures here in the south, but we got to make it through these storms to enjoy it. All right, so let's look at the electrical activity in the storms. We see over here something kind of rare over in Boise, Idaho, or just to the west of east of Boise. There's a small cell with a little bit of power to it. You don't see up there storms that often. So if you're in that part of Idaho, down in the Idaho Falls, Rexburg area, you've got a pretty good storm up there. So pay attention. Down here, we look and we see Arkansas, Pine Bluff, which where we were talking about where the tornado warning was. In Little Rock, north of you, and then east of you, Oxford, Alabama. West of you, you've got a small cell. Memphis, that small cell is developing over you to the northwest. And we see that energy right here, just above Florence, Alabama, into Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, Pulaski. That is that storm. It looks like it might be losing a little energy at the moment, while these up here appear to be gaining energy. If we look here, this is just to my west, Harriman, Crossville, those areas just to my west, because I'm over this way in past the city of Knoxville, so it's to my west. It's already past Cookville. It's already actually past Nashville. It's gone a little bit quicker than I thought it would. Extending up into West Virginia, tip of Virginia, maybe just a little bit. Kentucky, Somerset, Kentucky. And yeah, this storm's got some power. So be ready. That's where the intense part of the storm is right now. Currently, it's basically from Lexington down to, let's just say Knoxville. Those are the areas right now that it's got the most energy. So keep your eyes and ears open. Be aware your weather radio may not work. Cincinnati, just to the north, to the southeast of you, you're having towards Maysville, a pretty good little storm. Augusta, Maysville, it's in the Cincinnati suburbs up there. So pay attention if you're in those areas. And then, of course, we see there's nothing up here yet to the northeast or the Atlantic region. So, but there's plenty of offshore activity. It's also going to be, well, let's just take a look here. I think the next up we have the wind map. No, this is, okay. So we did the electrical activity. Who has the most power outages for the moment? And it looks as though Missouri, you have 33,048. In Oklahoma, 16,013. Arkansas, 10,967. California, 10,103. Minnesota, 8,566. All right, so California, I'm going to assume that's because there's a pull on your grid. Also saw sent in from a listener out in the West Coast, they're going to be doing away with portable power packs. So I didn't really get into the article, but it appears that they're going to be the little power packs you carry to charge your phone when your battery goes dead. They're going to start having some legislation out on the West Coast about that. I'm going to research that a bit more. But we see here, Oklahoma, you're getting pretty well hit. Missouri, and then it's just going to start coming into Tennessee from Arkansas here. So let's take a look. I should have had this up first. Nope, here we go. All right, well, we'll look at this real quick. This is the heat risk map. And if we look, it's not that bad, maybe from Atlanta down to Miami, but the worst part is down towards Monterey, Texas, Houston, west of you. The Gulf of America really right now is a moderate level, an orange level for heat for today, but that storm is pushing through. So tomorrow I anticipate this to be more to the yellow, maybe even green some parts, because there's possibility of the S word, I won't say it, in areas that we have fans. So be weather aware, because you never know what the hell's going to happen. All right, this is the wind map. We can see it is pulling all that energy up, going to Columbus, over to Chicago, and it's coming down off the Rockies and just kind of turbulent right there where it's meeting that cold front. That's where it's going to be pushing to the southeast. So that is the current wind map. It's saying the current top speed wind is 31 miles an hour. I wish it would show where that was. I'm going to assume it's somewhere in here. Well, where about? I'm assuming wrong, I guess. Denver? Would Denver have it? No, I don't know. At any rate, we'll look at another wind map here in a minute. Let's look at the air quality real quick. We got about a half hour left, so we're doing good. If we look here, Metro Atlanta suburb, all the way up into Chattanooga, really Nashville, it's kind of sucks. Part of most of South Carolina, part of Florida, just in the above the Gulf of America. What is that? The Treasure Coast right there, down to Tampa, and then all of Miami. It's a little bit yellow. New Orleans, you can expect to have a little bit of a bad day. We're going to talk about something else here in a minute. In Austin, Houston, pretty much the lower third of Texas on the southeast side is pretty bad. Chris said, I remember when Atlanta and Nashville were cities. Well, me too. So now they're countries. Actually, part of Atlanta thinks it's a country, but that's a local joke. You have to be, you just have to be there. Look at this, the pollen map. Oh my, except for the valley where I'm at, it's orange. Everywhere else, it's not too bad, except out in the Midwest, in the West, with the tree pollen. So if it wasn't for the valley, I'd probably have a great respiratory day. But because of the Tennessee Valley, I'm sitting in it. Ugh. So the grass pollen, well, that'll kill you. It's red pretty much all of the South up into the mid-Atlantic. Oh, that's not the mid-Atlantic, Midwest for pollen today. Yeah, it just sucks. Allergies, well, they say that the allergies aren't too bad, except for if you zoom in, the Tennessee Valley here has got that little bit of green, red, or yellow, red spot. Otherwise, it's not too bad elsewhere. What else do we look at? Aches and pains. Well, no, thank you. It only looks like if you're in pain, if you're up around Wisconsin. So you're going to be in pain in Wisconsin. Otherwise, I just don't know that I buy this map. They're saying it could be moderate pain in the South and more to the Southwest. I just don't know that I buy this one. I don't know. I think the Weather Channel just likes to put stuff up. Maybe it's just me. All right. So this is the smoke map from fires. This is from USA Today. Most of these are small fires that are pretty insignificant. They're having a problem down in Mexico with a pretty large fire down there, and that's causing that to jam up in the Gulf of America and try and scoop up with that energy into the center of the U.S., just above Kansas, up above there into Nebraska. It's trying to push that smoke from Mexico up onto us. So that's the only significant smoke we see for the day. But the other significant thing that we have, and let's make this larger. Remember we talked about the other day how there was not much of a block of dust? Well, that's changed, because if we look how the winds have shifted coming up from off the coast of Africa, traveling over the Atlantic, down here, there is a lot of dust, and it's expected to move inland on us with the winds. So if you're down in the Southwest, you can anticipate it being a dusty day. But that also is doing something else. Over here in the Pacific, there's a small front that they're looking at that could become cyclonic, could become a pretty rapid storm, but it's not going to form very well once it gets up towards the Gulf of America, because the weight of the dust is too much, so it will not carry. So the Atlantic and the Pacific, you're looking good. You might get some type of tropical depression, but with the way that the wind is blowing and the dust coming in, it's not going to be able to do anything. Maybe go straight up Mexico as a storm. But it's not going to do anything significant. So yeah, we can see we're getting in the United States lots of dust and dirt from Africa. It's crossing the Atlantic, coming down up through the Gulf of America. And then let's look at our friends down under and see how they're doing. We know that front, it's a little cold front off to the north, is still swirling. Sydney, You're going to have a little bit of problem with some air quality today, but your main problem all the way up into Brisbane uh, is going to be the rain and the flood potential. So pay attention to your meteorological association. There is a potential there for some serious rain and flooding. So pay attention if you're in uh, Australia. All right, let's look at the Earth cam because this is our big, blue, beautiful, round, perfect globe. You just can't say it's perfect, but it's as close as we're going to get. If you had a widescreen TV and maybe had smoked a little bit of some relaxing herbs, this probably would mesmerize you for hours. For those of you listening, we're looking at the world map, and it's showing us the jet stream and the waves of air and how they're traveling, and it's quite relaxing. I can put this on a big screen, turn all the lights off, maybe put on a little mood music, it would be all right. All right, so we see here it is defined more clearly coming off of Africa and how it's coming up straight pretty much off of Venezuela. It's bouncing up into the Gulf of America, and that dust is being pulled up, and it's going to be dusty down in southwest, but you can expect as this increases over here, that's going to actually make it all the way to the Great Lakes and start pushing east, especially if this front stays. So we could be seeing some dust in the near future, some significant dust in our air here in the south and in the mid-Atlantic region. All right, so let's go down under and see what your wind is doing. And pretty much as we talked, that front off of the coast there of Sydney, pushing in that rain. It's where it's going to be the windiest, maybe up a little bit up in the tropical north, have a little bit of wind, maybe a couple showers there, but nothing significant. But yeah, you're looking pretty good as far as the wind goes. I don't see any cyclonic events. Let's go back over and look at the Atlantic and Pacific for us. And the Weather Service is not really worried about anything at the moment, especially with that front of mud pushing up through the Gulf of America. So there you go. And for those of you that are flat earthers, I will make this change so that you can see it. I got to find the button first, though. I think it's this one. We'll just push a button and see what happens. There we go. For those of you that are flat earthers, there's what the world map looks like for flat earthers. Still nice and calming, relaxed. This is almost better than a fish tank. If you could get a fish tank and put a projection TV behind it and have this behind it with a nice little reef at the bottom, say down here along the lower portions of the Atlantic and Pacific, moving over to the Indian, just like a little coral reef, and have this constantly projected behind it, and the light being like a black light, and put some really cool fish in. This would be amazing. I don't know what got me on that. Ooh, shiny. I'd hit a sound effect, but it wouldn't work. So, squirrel. All right. We're going to run out of time here, but let's talk real quick. We got into this some yesterday. This is our current up-to-date event list, and they list events a little bit different than most places. They list them as biological, like we talk about an animal epidemic. There's currently 2. Brazil is investigating 6 suspicious bird flu cases. And then a lion in India has died from the bird flu, so they're investigating that. Then we get down into the human epidemics. Pakistan is seeing hepatitis C spiking. So we know that the U.S. has got about 1,025 cases of measles currently in the U.S. The critical infrastructure, Haiti, I'm sorry, but it's been pretty bad for you for a while, so I'm sorry. Potable water supply distribution, Namibia. You're having problems. I'm really surprised they didn't add part of the states to this because of the disruption in Kentucky and Arkansas. Australia, major delays on the Sydney train network due to wet weather and power outages. So there you go, Australia. If you're getting ready to go to work, expect some major delays due to the weather and power outages. France has canceled flights after the airport traffic system breaks down. So if you're going into the Paris Orly airport, you can expect major delays today because of a system breakdown. It seems to be a thing, doesn't it, with the airports? Look at social incidents. They're calling these local security conflicts. India, 5 tourists feared dead after an attack on the Indian Kashmir. All right. And that's old. I'm sorry. That's an update. Disregard that. Let's see. Mozambique, 10 dead in brutal attack by ISIS-linked militants on the Mozambique Wildlife Reserve. Well, that wasn't very nice of them. Let's see. Jump down here to public safety incidents. In the United States, 3 people fatally shot at a Georgia bar. I still did not look that up. We're not doing too bad on time. Let's look at the city, what it says about that. All right, could get a black screen. 4 people were fatally shot in less than 48 hours in a central Georgia city over the weekend, including 1 shooting at a bar where 3 people died. They fired 1 shot and killed 3. Okay. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office, it was a joke, was investigating the fatal shooting of 3 people who were killed at a Midtown daiquiri bar and grill in Macon. Well, that's probably part of the problem there. Too much cerveza. On Sunday around 12 a.m., the coroner, Leon Jones, identified the victims as Jadarius Meadows, 28, Jovan Fox, and Javier Meadows, 24. All 3 men were pronounced dead at the bar, according to a statement by the sheriff's office. And an additional email was sent for comment, but the deputies are still investigating the shootings, so they don't know what's going on, but they suspect it was a party that the victims got involved in some type of dispute. Other people were transported to the hospital, but they didn't suffer life-threatening injuries. All right, so let's get back into this. Sorry, I got distracted. Ooh, shiny. Let's see. Germany, manhunt after suspected stabbing. We mentioned that yesterday. Please be aware of your surrounding. People are getting sharp, pointy, shiny things and doing bad stuff with it. In the UK, 5 hospitalized after that. So exactly, Chris. 1 shot, 3 people dead. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense in that press release, but hey, never know. You never know. I never rule anything out from some of the things I've seen as working on the streets as a paramedic in inner city. Never know. So, all right. So 518 Hungarians are doing a mass protest against a bill allowing blacklisting of Orban critics. Don't know what that is, but they're apparently very angry at it and they're rallying. Ireland, a pro-Palestine protesters are calling for an immediate ceasefire. Well, you're about a notion away. So, all right. Let's see here. This is on the 19th. 4 killed. Pakistan, 4 killed, 20 injured in a blast in Pakistan's Balochistan province. Somalia, suicide bowling. Fred Flintstone. Suicide bombing at a Mogadishu military base kills at least 10. And then we talked about this in California. 1 dead, 4 injured after an explosion outside a fertility clinic. And they're calling it an intentional act of terrorism. But it's interesting to note they have released very little information about the young gentleman who did this. So let's see. Nothing new to report here. Under wars, we know it's Ukraine and Palestine, and in India and Pakistan seem to get their stuff worked out. And we have environmental pollution at the port of San Juan, and military spill returns in Puerto Rico. Okay. What kind of ecological disaster has hit Puerto Rico? The long running, okay, here we go. I did not know this. The long running mystery at the port of San Juan is back, but this time the Coast Guard has found the culprit and implemented a solution. All right. On April 11th, Station San Juan conducted a patrol in San Juan Harbor and discovered oil pollution in the water between Piers 2 and 3. The Coast Guard discovered an aging, badly corroded steel pipe that was slowly leaking heavy black oil into the harbor. It's far from the first of such occurrences in the port, so the Coast Guard response team collected samples from the pipe to be analyzed at the Coast Guard Marine Safety Lab for comparison against past spills. On April 15th, Clean Harbor, they are based out of Atlanta, they plugged the aging pipe and placed containment booms around it on Pier 4. So they've got the port shut down. They're continuing to monitor replace and use absorbent. They're probably sucking it up out with vacuums out of the off the surface as well. And they're continuing to look for a separate source to reduce the odds of future leakage on the waterfront. So there you go. The mystery has been solved. It's a leaking oil pipe, and the Coast Guard and Clean Harbor are on scene. So there you go. How are we doing time? Good, good. We're doing good. Because we don't want to mess with David Beckmeyer's show. He's got a great show. All right, so Armenia, we have a powerful explosion and a major fire in downtown Yerevan. An Indian explosion in an empty flat in Bengal multi-story building. And we get into fires. A huge fire destroys the home in Garner's Eagle Ridge community. Where is that? That was a fairly recent one. Let's see where that was. Fire crews battled a huge house fire in the 100 block of Supreme Court on Monday. That's an Eagle Ridge community right by the golf course. Flames were seen shooting 30 feet above the roof of the two-story house. Oh, that's no big deal. So the firefighters attacked the blaze from multiple directions. All right, so what state is this? North Carolina. Okay. So North Carolina is where it was, where the large fire was. All right. So there was a large house fire in North Carolina. Sorry, I just got sidetracked by that. But as far as I know, there are no injuries or fatalities, to the best of my knowledge. So, all right, we'll continue onward. Philippines, 2 kids die, 1 hurt in a Bacolod fire. Don't know what that is. India, 6 hospitalized after a rickshaw charging sparks fire. Okay, hold on here. India, 6 hospitalized after an e-rickshaw charging sparks fire in Delhi's Chandra Billing. What is a e-rickshaw? I know what a rickshaw is, but I don't know what an e-wood is. Okay. I'm okay with it. Whatever. Luxembourg firefighting intervention in Ushunazet. I don't know if I pronounced that right. 17 killed in India battling a building fire. And let's see, Mexico, house fire kills 7 in northern Mexico. And United States, yes, this was over the weekend. A 52-foot yacht caught fire at the Miami Beach Marina. It was very, very large. I run a group called Public Safety Professionals. If you want to join it, let me know. I try and post a lot of this stuff in there too. And also, we have the Sportcat Daily Gazette group on Facebook, where I encourage everyone to put articles and things so that we have, other stuff to report, because there's something in your part of the world you might want to hear about. Drop me a note, shoot it to me, and I'll get it to you. So, all right. Outdoor fires, we kind of really haven't talked about them, but we know volcanoes, well, the big one hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting on it. I'm going with the 27th. I'm enjoying the other Facebookers or YouTubers to say it's going to be the 27th. Aliens told me. Let's see. There was a plane crash near the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport in Broomfield. There was also in Pennsylvania, a medical helicopter forced to make an emergency crash landing. I don't think anybody was injured. The pilot did a good job, but he brought it down in the front yard. So it was quite the scene. Public road incidents, railway incidents, nothing too killed in an Ohio train accident. All right, let's reread that real quick before we run out of time here. And this was in Fremont, Ohio. 2 people were killed and at least 1 is missing after a train hit several pedestrians in northern Ohio on Sunday evening. Authorities said Fremont Mayor Danny Sanchez confirmed 2 fatalities without disclosing how many others were hurt or hospitalized. Fremont police said the Miles Newton Bridge was closed as emergency crews were searching the area for missing people, urging the public to stay clear of the scene. Yes, I heard something about that before I went on. Apparently, a train went through a crowd of people in Ohio, and so they have confirmed that 2 have been killed. We'll have to check into that further. So before we get onto it, all right, let's see, what else do we got here? The fires. We've talked about this. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we really need to cover. The only large fires currently is down in the Gulf of America, down in Mississippi. I think that's a controlled burn. This one over here off the Gulf Coast of Florida is still burning. They've about got it contained, and I think most of these others in the U.S. are controlled or prescribed burns. Chris said, dropped my water bottle about an hour ago. If you want to update the water bottle accident, Chris has had a water bottle accident. Everybody remain calm. All right, so let's see if there's 10,000 shakes. The last earthquake was 7 hours, 28 minutes ago, and it was in Turkey. So there you go. And it appears that there hasn't been one in the United States in 23 hours and 45 minutes. And it was a 3.8 in Central California. So the largest quake in the past 24 hours appears to have been the 4.2 in Afghanistan. All right, so there's your earthquake update real quick before we get out of here. This is the map from the USGS. You can see there's been several small ones. These got to be old ones because they weren't reporting new. It says 520 earthquake at Fort Bidwell, California. Okay, got me. And this one down here is, what is that? That is White City, New Mexico. And it doesn't give a rating. It just says what it was. Does that mean it's a 2? 2.5. That wasn't I called a 2.5. What they call it? 2.8. All right, there we go. And then Grapevine had a 2.5. Well, maybe they are starting to shake a little bit out here on the West Coast. So who knows? All right, we look at the volcanoes. And I find it funny, they don't really have the one that we talked about on the map. If you look at the volcano interactive map, when you look at it, they don't show it. So I find it really funny. You would think that would be shown. The only ones that they have currently worried about are in Alaska, and then the one free flowing currently, the Kilauea in Hawaii. All right, let me update this real quick. Running out of time. Let's see, I don't think there's anything really new on this map. This is pretty much a summary of things we had. This comes to us from Disaster Alert. And there's 124 new notifications. Maybe something did happen. A volcano in Ecuador and tornadoes in the U.S., landslides in Asia. Goodness, there were several landslides in Asia. Lincoln, Illinois had a tornado. And then, let's see, Great Lakes had a landslide. I'm assuming it's U.S. And okay, I'm trying to catch up and see if anything more recent there for the U.S. Looks like a lot of flooding and landslide incidents in Asia from that storm. And Chicago had a tornado 11 minutes ago. Okay, I don't know about that. That's take me to that one. Updated 5 minutes ago. National Weather Service in Indianapolis tracking a storm, put out a tornado watch. Okay, so it's just a watch. It's not a warning. All right. I wanted to check on that before we went off the air. Chris says, my college had to change their team mascot, but New Mexicans are allowed to keep White City as a town name. My football team, the Washington Redskins, are no longer the Redskins. They're the Commanders. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, live picture of the space station. It is about to approach the coast of South America, where it'll continue its track, and it will not be visible in our night sky. Let's take a quick gander at all the planes in the air. Goodness gracious, there's a lot of them. Let's just drop them out and go to the military ones. And the military is very active today. So I did not, somebody commented that reported on something when it was an operation was in effect. I did not report it. ICE was working in Atlanta and I didn't really go into it. So I am not telling anybody any secrets. So there you go. But yeah, you can see that the helicopters are out and busy off of the coast of Maine. So, and then where is this one coming from? And this is a Canadian jet, so not too worried about it. And that's just a cargo plane. I don't see anybody. I'm running out of time here. I don't see anybody doing the fueling route saying that there's any fighters up currently, which is a good sign. When our fighters go, we would prefer to keep them grounded. So maybe no, that's a sub hunter. Okay, so they're that's a sub hunter, but they're using it for other reasons. I want before we run out of time, start paying attention to the Rocky Mountains and the sections that really aren't habitable. So just use that as your imagination. All right, so the balloons up in the air, way too many to count, and we'll go out of here. FAA, we know there's a space coast over here, and all these alerts here along the coast, and all the ships are moving as they should be, and the tariffs are over, and all the ships are in port, whether they're taking on or leaving. So there you go. And currently, you get a quick view before we get out of here of the low Earth observation. Maybe it's downloading. There we go. Let's take that off. And you can see from space the number of satellites over the American continent right now. Fascinating. All right, we're going to get out of here. We'll look at this real quick because we usually go out of here with this. This is Bitdefender. This is going to be showing us the number of cyber attacks on the U.S. Well, it shows it on the world. Red is attacks. Orangish yellow is infections. White is spam. And we already know that Ohio is being hit pretty hard. It looks like from Asia and Africa. It looks like they're hammering the middle of the country too up here as well. So everybody be cautious. Have a great day. Stay weather aware. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to discontinue. Thank you, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, and Radio X in Australia. I appreciate you for allowing us to tickle your ears. If you want to come over to see the last 2 or 3 seconds, you can come over to YouTube. I really need you to come over and subscribe. The Para are normal guys, and we use a Z, Guyz on YouTube. And find us. We really need some subscriptions. So come on over. I enjoy tickling your ears daily, and I hope you have a good morning. Be careful for flooding in Australia, and if you're in Tennessee, be weather aware because the weather system may not work. Everybody have a great day on the internet radio side. I will talk to you soon. All right, so we're back to our YouTube page here real quick. I'm going to leave you guys with this since we've hit the 2-hour mark. I appreciate you tuning in, and I really appreciate everybody that comments. I was thinking about this last night. The show wouldn't be anything without our chat, and we usually have a really good chat. We've got a loyal group of followers, and I love them to death, and I appreciate everything they do. So continue that. But if you're new to this, join the chat. They won't bite you. Well, they might, but it won't hurt. And we have fun. You can even poke fun of me because I do a lot of stupid things. So, but if you're out in the southeast, be aware that about 4 to 6 p.m. you're going to have some serious storms. Be weather aware because Tennessee is going to have that blackout of their, I don't know why, their radio system. Well, they're updating it. So I guess it's just the way it is. So pay attention, be alert, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, Sportcat, well, I'm going to push a button and get the heck out of here.